Hello, welcome to Moonflake. We are currently working on Arcane Revolt, a 2D top-down action RPG based in a medieval fantasy universe, and we want to fill it with classic RPG elements and mechanics. CRPGs, DRPGs, MMORPGs, and dungeon crawlers, and all the similar stuff that gives role-playing feel in a sword and sorcery medieval setting attracts me a lot. And actually, there are tons of resources to get inspiration on that topic. There are AAA RPG titles, CRPGs from relatively smaller studios, tabletop games, and whole fantasy literature. And we are trying our best to consume them so that we can create. But there is one another very important and useful resource for especially indie game developers, itch.io. We will embark on a new adventure in which we are going to try impressive games on itch.io, and probably with each game we will be more amazed by the creativity of indie developers. Especially recently, you may have noticed that the games developed by huge game companies with amazingly high budgets are getting uncreative, shallow, and boring with each year. This is the inevitable consequence of a work of art, being produced with pure commercial concerns. On the contrary, indie games that are produced with the sense of personal satisfaction are getting more and more impressive. This is where the itch.io comes into play. itch.io is an amazing platform that allows indie game developers to share their games with the community. Since it is very easy to share your game here, you may come across a lot of meaningless content. But if you spend some time even on the homepage, you will realize how creative work can be done when commercial concerns are not taken above all else. We are going to search for best games we can find out to get some inspirations for our game, and we are going to share this adventure with you. Now, without further ado, let's start with our first game of the week. Forward was started as a game jam game. However, probably the developer just noticed the success of the game and released the improved version on Steam, and even for the mobile devices, with the name Forward Escape the Fold. But the version I've played is the game jam version, which you can play on the browser from the link in the description. Forward is a card-based roguelike game. You can play with only one of the 4 characters in the game at the beginning, and you can unlock other classes with the gold you earn in the game. As soon as you take the first step with your character, you realize how fluent and enjoyable the game is. Our goal is to reach the end of the dungeon by choosing the best steps on this 3-lane road. Along the way, we encounter different monsters, goals, shields, and health potion cards. There's even a chest opening sequence. If you step into the card directly in front of a monster, the monster attacks you. Also, you can attack the monsters diagonally. It's that simple but fun at the same time. Although I'm not a big fan of roguelike games, I thoroughly enjoyed my time in the game. No matter what kind of game I play, seeing even the smallest role-playing elements gives me immense satisfaction. I really like the idea that different character classes and collectible items have different advantages and disadvantages. For example, if you choose to get this shiny shield, it increases the value of the shields, but decreases their spawn frequency. I think it's a very useful topic in terms of role-playing, that the advantages come together with the disadvantages. So players can choose which path they want to follow and feel more connected to their characters, just like the perk system in Fallout. I think we can use similar system for collectibles in our game. Another thing we can implement to our game is the shields. In Forward, shields just act like extra health points generally. With this feature, which we can add to our game quite easily, we will give the players another mechanic to think about. Also, we can place shields among our character's spells, not a feature that can be gained through items. We can even create a separate skill tree branch for shields. Yeah, I think I like that idea. In short, Forward is a very simple yet enjoyable game. The combination of card mechanics and RPG elements seems to always be interesting for me. Our next game is a pretty cute city management and role-playing game. Littlewood is actually a very popular game, but I don't think it gets as much as attention as it should. First of all, I really fell in love with the pixel art style of the game. I really like the overall cute look that stems from the color palette and the simplicity of the illustrations. That got me thinking that small developers like us should use a pretty simple visual style. The reason why I'm not interested in 3D game development is similar to this, because there are so many technology issues to think about when developing a 3D game that small teams like us don't have enough time to think about the game design. Similarly, if we spend a lot of time on the art side in our game, we may not be able to deal with other fields sufficiently. Littlewood proved to me how a very impressive art style can be achieved with the simplest pixel art. Now let's get to the gameplay. For a long time, there has never been a game that can relieve me of the chaotic world I'm in that much. The game is so cute and peaceful that it almost slowed down time for me. One of the biggest reasons for this is the time system in the game. Time passes when you only do certain things. It's a pretty good idea to give the feeling of comfort that a game like this should give. Because one of the main reasons why I don't like Stardew Valley, which has a similar gameplay, was time management. Stardew Valley was putting me in a rush, like in real life, because of trying to complete everything we need to do before the night.
No, don't listen to him. It's a wonderful game.
But Littlewood has solved this problem very well. The second thing it does much better than Stardew Valley is human relations. The conversations between you and your friends in Littlewood are so intimate that it always makes you want to talk more. I also love the compliment and hanging out features in the game. Another topic that we can get inspiration for our game is the look of the dialogue system, because we will use a similar structure. The fact that the control scheme in Littlewood is completely based on the keyboard is another thing that simplifies the game. I think it's very convenient to control a game like this with the keyboard without using a mouse. We will only use keyboard in our game as well, since our character's movement is only in 8 directions and character spells are only 4 directions. Littlewood showed me how keyboard controls can be handled nicely. It is inevitable to admire the developer of Littlewood. It's an amazing talent to be able to solo develop a game that is so relaxing and looks so impressive. Dusky Dungeon is a very simple dungeon crawler game with Game Boy art style and colors. In the game, we are looking for the key which unlocks the door to the next floor in the dungeon. Although it has a very simple and limited mechanic pool, it managed to keep the retro game atmosphere alive. Opening a door on one side of the level with a key we found at the other side of the level reminded me of a mechanic we want to use in our game. We want to establish a system where a key we find in a room or the information will be useful to us in the following sections of the same level. With a letter from the pocket of one of our enemies, we can learn about a secret entrance to our level boss room or a weak side of it. I was also interested in the puzzles in which the teleportation system between the rooms was used. A much more detailed puzzle section can be crafted with this teleport mechanic. Most of the enemies in the Dusky Dungeon do not attack us, but move on a certain pattern, and all we have to do is not touching them. This gave me the idea of a trap type that we can use in dungeons in our game. I think the traps that goes back and forth like these bladed doors in Skyrim will suit our game quite well. In Arcane Revolt, there will be 4 main skills and the upgrade of these skills that you will control through the skill tree. As in the Dusky Dungeon, even an upgrade that will only increase the size of our fireball skill would be great for giving a character development feel. I think the Dusky Dungeon, although it may seem rather simple and shallow, has proven how helpful indie games can be with the ideas it gave me. That's all for this episode. I created a collection on itch.io where I collect every game I played or will play on this series. You can check the link in the description and experience every game yourself. Definitely it was a very useful process for us to experience and think about these games. This is one of the reasons why I love game development so much. We are also very curious about your ideas. Don't forget to join our Discord server and share your ideas with us. We'd love to chat with you about the games we reviewed, and Arcane Revolt in particular. You can also share your opinions and suggestions with us in the comment sections of this video.
Also, if you want to help us in our independent game development career, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. You can also consider subscribing to us on Patreon and provide a financial support for Arcane Revolt.
Take care and see you next time.